Good evening, all of you. Welcome to the fourth episode of season one of JLU Knowledge Series, powered by FICCI Young Leaders Forum, Madhya Pradesh. On the virtual dais, today we have with us Mr. Jaideep Kewalramani, CEO, Legais Private Limited. Before starting the session, I would quickly introduce Mr. Jaideep. At Legais, as CEO, Jaideep is responsible for growth and transformation of Legais, including its subsidiaries. He is having extensive 23 years of experience in leading developing business across technology, outsourcing, digital, and AI. He has managed multi-million dollars business portfolios and delivered impactful results for several Fortune 500 clients. He had worked for organizations like Thomson Reuters, Zensar Technologies, Datamatics, Aptech-Hexaware. Jaideep is an executive program graduate from Stanford University, MBA in International Business, and BCA in Taxation from Mumbai University. His MBA school, SIMSR, recognized him as a distinguished alumni. Jaideep holds 3 patents in artificial intelligence domain. He actively participates through speaker and panelist opportunities in industry forums like NASSCOM and CII. Jaideep has authored several white papers and articles on subjects like disruptive business models, digital platforms, decision making, and innovation. He is a hobby macroeconomist and an amateur golfer. So, JD, now before starting the session, in the beginning, I would just like to ask you about your career journey and how you delved into the field of artificial intelligence. Over to you, Jaideep.
Sure, Yash, thank you so much. And first of all, thanks for giving me the opportunity to join you here on this platform. I've heard a lot about JLU, so delighted to engage with you. Thanks to Rakesh and you. So, my entire career journey has been one successive opportunity after another, predominantly embracing the changes that have kind of come along. Way back, I started my career in the education technology space with Aptech, very quickly moving into .com consulting and following to outsourcing. Outsourcing was the largest kind of playground for me. Worked in a variety of domains, right from technology outsourcing to financial processes outsourcing to supply chain procurement and legal. And over the years, as the outsourcing industry matured, we had the opportunity to look at technology and services together rather than just labor arbitrage. We were able to offer technology-enabled services. So through that, I got into development of products at my previous organizations. And through the blended offering of technology and services, we kind of moved up. And that's how the career has taken shape. I mean, as you get into technology, you realize that you need to work on what differentiates you and what also creates an opportunity to offer more efficient outcomes. Artificial intelligence is one such area that allows organizations to deliver results in meaningful fashion by reducing the timelines, reducing the costs, and maximizing the impact. So that's how the journey into AI kind of started. But I mean, when you look back, all the dots connect. But when you're in the moment, sometimes the dots don't connect. That's fine. You need to look at all the opportunities that come your way and keep working on them. But AI is definitely going to be an exciting space. It has been and it will be for the next several years. I hope that answers the question, Yash.
Yes, so definitely. Very rightly, you pointed out that whatever opportunity knocks your door, one should avail it. So, moving further, as you have a keen interest in artificial intelligence, I would like to ask few things about artificial intelligence. So, with the ever growing pervasiveness of computers, mobile devices, servers, and smart devices, there is leap in digital platform. So, can you please tell us what is artificial intelligence and its role in our day to day life from various perspectives such as law, business, etc.? Over to you, Jaideep.
Okay, so yes, let me try and break this down into two parts. First, we'll talk about what is artificial intelligence and uh, what are some of the use cases that are developing in the industry. Uh, I mean, all everyone knows the textbook definition of artificial intelligence, but if I were to articulate it to a group of students who are going to start their careers in the next few years, I'd like to introduce it something like this: that you have the ability to transfer human intelligence to a computer that could easily run some basic decisions, or at least take you to a point where the decision analysis is done and the humans have to make the final call. Um, it's very, the analogy to that is of raising a child. I mean, right now, artificial intelligence is in its infancy. So during the initial years, you train the child on how to operate, how to behave, what are the framework within which the child has to operate, what is right, what is wrong, and so on and so forth. But once you establish the framework and the boundaries, and as the child starts to learn through the experiences, you no longer have to issue specific instructions to the child. This is exactly how artificial intelligence is going to operate. You devise a framework or a boundary for the software, and within that, you allow the software to have its own autonomy and allow the software to learn through the autonomy. And once the training and the learning is complete, the software can exactly mimic what the human intelligence is capable of doing. With time and with technologies maturing, you will be marveled at what artificial intelligence will accomplish for mankind, and it's going to be a very, very exciting space. Right now, all the use cases that we're going to talk about will seem like uh, lab experiments, and the real value is yet to come. I mean, it's beyond all of our imaginations. So that's how I would like to define artificial intelligence. Talking about use cases, I think you threw out three use cases. We have a very small group over here, so we can keep it focused. Let's talk about the legal space. In the space of law, you will very soon see self-negotiating contracts. Today, for say two organizations or two lawyers to negotiate contracts, you need to look at what is the draft in the document, what are the terms that are acceptable to you, what are the terms that are not acceptable, and humans go back and forth on that one. Subsequently, uh, you will be able to transfer this intelligence over to the machines. So, say for example, two organizations have to negotiate a non-disclosure agreement, and something as simple as what is the term of the non-disclosure agreement, whether it's 3 years or 5 years. Party A has a policy of 3 years, Party B has a policy of 5 years. Both of them have now turned over this negotiation to their AI algorithms. And the AI algorithms will look at what are the risks that are associated, what are the terms that are acceptable, not acceptable, and the AI algorithms will come out with, say, a mid path, which is 4 years, that could be acceptable to both, and that could take care of the negotiation of the non-disclosure agreement. So let's take another use case of artificial intelligence in space of law. Uh, my uh, my company over here, the company that I work for, Legais Services, uh, we've developed a AI-powered NLP chatbot. NLP stands for natural language processing. So you can actually interact with the chatbot as if you're interacting with a human. You would have seen some of that in the banking apps. You can make some basic inquiries with the app, and the app will authenticate you and start responding to some of your queries. Similarly, in the space of law, we've already enabled that, and people who are seeking assistance in terms of compliance can come and speak with the chatbot. We call it Legais AI-enabled legal assistance. Abbreviated is LAILA, Layla. Uh, so you can come and chat with Layla. You can have a meaningful interaction in terms of if you want any support in terms of what is the compliance deadline or what are the forms to be used for certain type of regulatory compliances or legal compliances. Layla should be able to help the person. I'll give you a third use case in the space of law that has again been developed by our company, and it's actively being used. This is an AI-enabled algorithm that can track your litigation matters. And right now, the algorithm is actively tracking more than 500,000 court cases across the entire ecosystem. This has enabled the organizations that use our solution to drop their primary legal costs associated with this activity by 95%. And needless to mention, the timelines and the accuracies have gone off the roof. And we are getting a lot of traction in the market for this kind of technology. Hope this was useful, Yash. If there are any questions, we could take them on law right now, or maybe we could complete a few more use cases and then come back.
JD, as you said about the self negotiation agreements, JD, as you said that for that algorithms works, right? So in self negotiation agreements depends upon different various circumstances. So on the basis of that, these algorithms keeps on changing, or it's a static one.
So the minute it is static, it is not artificial intelligence. Okay, so hold on. Let me qualify. These algorithms have the ability to operate within a framework and learn. Okay, so when I train my AI algorithm to negotiate a contract, I would have trained that what is acceptable to me, what is not acceptable to me, what are the risks I can manage, what are the risks that I cannot manage, what is the company's first line policy, what is the fallback policy, what is the third fallback policy. It is equivalent to training a fresh law graduate, and you say that, okay, come here, this is your first day on your job, here is how a non-disclosure agreement looks like. Typically, here are the 4 clauses that clients love to negotiate. Here is our policy on each of the clauses. Now, this is the same training that we would give to the AI algorithm. The AI algorithm will operate exactly as a fresh young law graduate would operate. As long as it is in the framework, there are guidelines written, the algorithm will work around all of this by itself. You don't develop all the permutations and combinations and keep it over there. That's not the objective. And just like the fresh young law graduate, if it encounters a scenario outside of these algorithms or the defined framework and so on, it will seek a human intervention. So the young law graduate will walk up to the senior and say, hey, you trained me on this one, but here is something that the client is asking for, which I was not trained for. What do I do? So the senior trains the young law graduate. Similarly, the AI algorithm will also seek an intervention, and that intervention would be provided. Now, once provided, the AI algorithm will imbibe that and learn. So it has got one more scenario to deal with as it moves on. The same way the young law graduate has learned from the process. Now, would you like some use cases in the field of management or engineering?
Yes, it would be great if you could tell us.
Sure. So clearly, in the space of engineering, you have a lot of opportunity to bring in AI algorithms for several complex use cases. We are already seeing huge this thing in the space of uh, agricultural engineering or engineering for construction space, and people are developing these use cases to improve the safety of the goods that are being manufactured or the shop floor. And one of the interesting areas has been that uh, people are looking at how do they safeguard the workplace in terms of accidents by using AI. So, for example, robots who are deployed on the assembly line, typically robots and humans today kind of work together. You can design the robots or the assembly line to sense if there is a human limb coming in the way, and it can automatically engage the safety devices and shut down. Now, these are basic sensors, but for the sensor to differentiate between what is a human limb or what could be just a piece of paper that's kind of flying in, that is where you need to train it on imaging, you need to train it on texture, you need to train it on temperature, and so on. So it kind of brings in all of this and is able to determine whether a human is at risk, and it can take an immediate decision to stop the production line. This is this is not sensors. This is sensors plus AI at work. Does that help, Yash?
Yes, absolutely. So, with the ever growing pervasiveness of computer devices, servers, and as you said, that in general terms, AI basically refers to computational tools that are able to substitute for human intelligence in performing certain tasks. So, this technology is currently advancing at a breakneck pace. So, whether artificial intelligence can compete with the human intelligence, is it possible?
So first of all, we've not even seen the speed at which AI can advance. What is happening now is a snail's pace. It's very slow. It's excruciatingly slow. Uh, Clearly, the industry is in need of additional funding, more use cases, so that the the AI engineers can start working on several more use cases and enhance what the AI algorithms can do. So, I would say you still haven't seen the speed that one should expect. In terms of can AI ever replace HI? It's quite possible. Why not? The ultimate goal of every industry or every profession is to make the human life better, whether it's core engineering or building road infrastructure or manufacturing of luxury goods. Everything is done to make the human life better. And AI too should work in that direction and make the human life better. So, if in that process, uh, if humans can create something which is more powerful than their intelligence, then I think you've done that. And in a way, when man procreates, you want your next generation to be smarter than you. So if you're creating AI, why wouldn't you want AI to be powerful than HI? Clearly, this raises a lot of question marks than answers, because you will have things about what are the boundaries of that? How will mankind kind of react to AI becoming more powerful than HI? And as always, we have found answers. We found answers to the problem of nuclear powered society. We found answers to several more complex issues. We are still trying to find answers to environmental issues. I'm sure we'll find answers to artificial intelligence gaining over HI as well.
So, but there must be certain limitations of AI as well.
Today, yes, because the whole industry is nascent, imagination is nascent. Um, Beyond a point, you have to give it more computational power, more ability to kind of grow. And as you learn from every AI algorithm that you build, you are able to make the next algorithm a little better. One of the other limitations which has naturally been taken care of is earlier it used to be difficult to share knowledge. Today, most organizations are able and willing to share knowledge instantaneously. For example, natural language processing. There are several algorithms that are available that allow you to process language in a process text in a natural way. So if you are developing an application, you don't have to start from scratch in terms of developing an NLP algorithm. You just pick one that's available in the market. It's available for a very low cost fee, and you plug that in. So your start point is already richer than what the previous person started with.
All right, Jaideep. As you said, that artificial intelligence, as of now, is at a nascent stage, but at the same time, it's a revolutionary feat of computer science, which is set to become a core component of all modern software and modern lifestyle over the coming years and decades. So this presents opportunity but threats as well. So can you please share some opportunities and threats of AI?
So, like I mentioned, opportunities are limitless. It's limited by our imagination right now on what AI can do. It's limited by the funding available to the industry. It's limited by um, access to technology or computing power and so on. But the opportunities are phenomenal. I mean, why wouldn't you want AI advisor to help you with which insurance to pick? It is not driven by any motives to make extra commission. It is not driven by any motives whether it likes you, it doesn't like you, it has time, it doesn't have time. It's available for you anytime, and it can help you make some great decisions. It can learn about your persona, your requirements, and give the right thing. So you're not limited by the next door insurance agent who's probably serving four companies, who has a limited this thing. Suddenly, your world is open to the best solution provider. Or in that case, one of the previous organizations that I had worked for and funded the organization on AI, the edtech space is also very exciting. We had kind of built an algorithm where the AI chatbot could guide you in terms of making career decisions or give you inputs in terms of what are the skill set gaps that you have to kind of fulfill to meet the desired career level. So you're not limited by the mentor you have or the smoke buddy you have to tell you what to do next in your career. You got a AI algorithm who will very dispassionately, very objectively, logically guide you through your career aspirations. In terms of challenges or the threats of AI, again, like with any case of software, it'll have its own issues of data privacy, it'll have its question marks about the ethical boundaries and several more questions. But that is the case with every new technology. Not that this session is about self-driven cars, but there are advantages and threats to the self-driven cars as well. But the industry uh, takes a very mature view and says, okay, we'll put the right kind of safeguards in place, be open to regulation, we'll be open to monitoring, we'll be open to criticism, and based on that, we will improve. That will be the case with artificial intelligence as well. So I don't think we need to worry too much about the threats of it. They will be addressed as the threats emerge. I think the industry is very mature to deal with it. The IT industry has been around for decades now, so we can deal with that.
Oh, okay. So, Jaideep, there is one thing which is striking in my mind that in case of any threat or if any mishappening takes place because of AI, so whom should we held liable? Whether the developer or the owner, and whom should we held liable in this?
So that's more of a question for a lawyer, but those questions have been raised for other autonomous industries as well, like self-driven cars or drones. Who should be held responsible? The minute you give machine some autonomy, is the machine responsible or the human who designed the autonomy responsible? I think the answer lies somewhere in between. The machine can be held responsible, but unfortunately, what will you do by trying the machine? By the way, all the views presented are completely personal. What will you do by trying a machine? And what would you gain by trying the human as well? The human designed the software to operate in a particular fashion. Clearly, something went wrong, which was beyond the original design or the imagination. Therefore, what is important is for lawmakers and the judiciary to arrive at a framework that gives guidance to the regulators in terms of how to look at such situations. More importantly, we must learn from the pharmaceutical industry. There is a lot of trials and testing before a drug is released. Similarly, if due process is followed, all the trials and the precautions are in place, and the confidence level is high in terms of, okay, we've tried out all possible scenarios, then you release that. Most of the AI use cases you're seeing today are harmless. I mean, let's say if the self-negotiating contract fails, if instead of 3 or 5, both the algorithms decide that it's NDA in perpetuity, well, that's fine. You can go and cure it. I mean, it's harmless. It's not really going to, at worst case, it'll lead to a commercial impact or something of that sort. So you can cure all of that. I'm sure as AI algorithms come in place that kind of affect a human life or human safety, there can be necessary guardrails put in place, and regulators and frameworks can kind of step in.
JD, as you said, that AI has been now used in a, or it is using in a wide range of fields, including law, medical science, stock trading, scientific discovery, etc. So and so. So, where do you find the future of artificial intelligence, particularly in regards with our country?
So India will be the cradle or the boom place for AI. Uh, Probably one of the very few governments in the world who is kind of emphasizing on AI, establishing a thrust area for it. So I see enormous responsibility. I mean, we are anyway leaders in software and the tech space. We should be fueling AI for the world. So again, limitless.
So the scope is limitless, definitely, because the way AI is entering into the lives of the persons. So that means we can say that it has a very good future in our country too. So moving ahead, JD, what actually is the state of art in the in problem solving in AI?
I mean, the problems are very similar to developing any software where you want an output, except that you're also trying to expect the output based on limited inputs. So it makes the problem even more challenging. Troubleshooting is a lot more fun. And I think I must also add, in summary to all the previous questions you've asked, given that this audience pool does not have any software engineers, AI is not just limited to software engineers. Every function has a role to develop an AI algorithm. Please understand, a software developer cannot develop an AI algorithm if he doesn't get the right kind of inputs from the domain. So a lawyer and a technologist need to sit together. An engineer and a technologist need to sit together to kind of develop those algorithms. It's not going to create by its own. So, I mean, the challenges are pretty much what you face in terms of developing any code, except that uh, the expected output is not defined. So, it's an iterative process.
So, as you said that the expected outcome is not streamlined. So, JD, I mean, how can we say that? I mean, because it is not possible to know each and every aspect of NLP. So, don't you think so? In these terms, some at some point, AI. I mean, I should say, what should I say, is not at par with the human intelligence.
Of course, it is not. And I don't think the AA community is challenging that it has achieved what a human intelligence can do today. Like I said, it's very early days, and it is only going to improve from this point. So there are no arguments over there.
Okay. So, as you are pioneer in this field, what are the? Can you please tell us what are the career opportunities available in the field of AI, and what steps should the students take up for getting industry ready? As this is very new area.
So I'll hardly call myself a pioneer in this space, but a little bit of career advice that I can dish out at this point is that if you have the ability to be a part of an AI initiative after you graduate as a part of your career placements with a startup or with a tech company, do grab it. Don't let go of that opportunity. And while you're learning your core domain, whether it's law, engineering, humanities, or whatever, uh, feel free to take up a course in artificial intelligence so that you understand the space better. It will only open your mind up. Right now, a lot of it is driven by fear, a lot of it is driven by hypothesis that AI will succeed, AI will fail, AI has scope, AI does not have scope, and so on and so forth. It will help you demystify some of the stuff. There are plenty of courseware available, tons of information available on YouTube. Take some time to go through that. If it excites you, dig further. That would be my two pieces of advice.
Okay, JD, as you said that, we all are, and we do agree to this fact that it's at a nascent stage. So, what are current capabilities of artificial intelligence in India?
I think we did cover that in one of the earlier questions. I mean, AI capabilities are equal or probably better than some places outside of India as well. But you're seeing AI being deployed in all possible areas, right from agriculture to education to law, engineering, manufacturing, environment. Every every domain has applications. So I mean, we have a lot of capabilities.
So, while the participants post the questions,
I think we have the question coming from Anita. Anita, why don't you unmute yourself? Come on video. You can ask the question yourself, if that's okay. Yash,
yeah, yeah, sir, definitely not an issue.
yeah, we're a nice small cozy group, so let's have a good chat.
Anita ma'am, can you please turn on your camera and ask the question?
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Anita.
So my question is actually how we can differentiate between AI and machine learning.
So machine learning is a subset of AI. Uh, you need to you need to have the machine learning component for artificial intelligence to succeed. Like NLP is a part of AI. ML is also a part of AI.
All right, sir. Any other questions from the end of the participants? You can unmute yourself and you can turn on your video and directly ask the question from the from our resource person.
Good evening, sir. Sir, as you gave the example that in production line there is the combination of AI and like machines. So how does this happen actually? Like you said that they need to differentiate between a hand, human hand, and like a piece of paper. So if a piece of paper that is have the same temperature of a human hand, so is that possible to make that differentiation on a minuscule level?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ojaswini, right?
Yes, sir.
So there are multiple characteristics that one can look at. So there are visual cues, there is temperature, texture. You can use a lot of these sensors, stitch them all together, and then have a AI framework watch all of this and make the distinction.
All right.
You
Okay,
don't
sir.
rely on just one parameter. You use multiple parameters.
Yes, we need to have multiple parameters for this. So I think we have next participant ready with her question.
Good evening, sir. Thank you, Yash ma'am. So my question is, as you said that AI would be doing a lot of work, and as per my perspective, a lot of jobs would be vanished in the upcoming 5 to 10 years. And
Certainly.
as an MBA student, if I want to enter into a big company, a big MNC, or even a startup, I have to start with a beginner level job. And in the upcoming years, if AI is going to procure all those works, so what would be the skill sets that we as management students need to learn in order to have the differentiation from AI? Because if AI takes over our tasks, then what would be what would students like us would be doing in future? There would be no jobs available for us.
Okay, so Sushmita, I think you're painting a very bleak picture. I believe you're graduating in 2022 or 2023 max. Don't worry, your jobs are safe. Uh, so, like we discussed, AI is operating at a very nascent stage right now. And while it is replacing some level of human tasks, I don't think it is going to kill the market for fresh graduates so early. So you're safe. Maybe that's a question for students few years later. But to answer your question about what are the skill sets you should have, clearly you don't want to get into a job that is repetitive in nature, because that's been a target of automation for many years now, whether it's been software development or robotic process automation or AI right now and so on. What you need are skill sets that will differentiate you, decision-making skills, interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills. Those are the skill sets that you should possess, which will allow you to operate better with humans rather than sit at a desk and do the repetitive job over and over again. Does that help, Sushmita?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
So, in the end, I would like to ask you one very pertinent question that since you have a huge experience of 23 years, so what life lessons you have learned in reaching out to this position? And what success sutra you want to give to the audience?
So several life lessons clearly can't be answered in a minute, but believe in networking, be good to people on your way up, always operate and behave for the next level. And the success sutra is simple. Be watchful of opportunities and grab them with open arms. Don't be afraid. Don't anchor yourself with unnecessary obstacles in your own mind. A lot of people are victims of their own imagination or the limitation that they set for themselves. There's nothing that can stop you. Sure, there are circumstances that will prevent you from picking one opportunity or another, but there are ways to work around that. Don't give up very easily. So I'd just like to say that just go ahead, grab all the opportunities that come your way and have fun in the process.
Okay, all right, sir. You very rightly said that keep moving, keep learning, and keep going. So, at the outset, I would like to extend my deepest regards and thanks to Mr. Jaideep for sharing pearls of wisdom from your rich acumen. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation despite your busy schedule. This clearly shows your passion and your dedication towards this profession, and we look forward for future collaborations with you and to work with such kind of a person who is very vibrant and having a lot of energy. So it will be very helpful for us if we will be working under your guidance. And I would now like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants who take out their time and who listen patientfully to Mr. Jaideep. Thank you once again. And I also thank to all the persons who are behind the screen. Thank you so much for making this event successful. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you, Yash, and have a great evening to everyone. See you. Bye.